Hi, this is Ike from Groovy Entertainment. Today we got another book to read for you. Today's book is Sleeping Beauty from 1986. So let's get started. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived a king named Stefan and his lovely queen. They were good and kind and were loved by their subjects. In another kingdom nearby lived their friend, King Herbert, and his son, Prince Philip. Both kings hoped that one day their kingdom would be united by the marriage of their children. For many years, King Stefan and his queen had longed for a child. Finally, their wish was granted and a daughter was born. They called her Aurora, which means sunrise, for she filled their lives with sunshine. A great holiday was proclaimed throughout the kingdom, so that all might celebrate the infant princess' birth. People came from everywhere in the kingdom, bringing gifts and good wishes to the Princess Aurora. Ladies in silk gowns, lord in fur, and violet, and knights in bright armor passed through the palace gate. Everyone wanted to see the princess. King Herbert and his son Prince Philip was the first to arrive. King Stefan welcomed his friend, and the two kings embraced. They had both waited a long time for this day. Now their children could be and was they become of age could marry. The kingdom would be united at last. Young Prince Philip looked down at the sleeping baby. It was hard to believe that she would one day be his wife. Then the trumpet sounded as three sparkling balls of light floated into the room. Three fairies magically appeared from the light, waving their wands. They were the three good fairies, Florence and Merryweather. They had come to bestow their gifts upon the infant princess. Florence approached the cradle. First, little princess, my gift should be the gift of beauty, gold of sunshine in her hair, and lips that shame the red rose. You should walk in springtime wherever you go. Then Florence waved her wand. Flowers of all color appeared and showered down upon the sleeping beauty. Then it was turn, tiny princess. My gift should be the gift of song. Then she waved her wand, and a chorus of birds flew above the cradle. At last, it was Merryweather turn to present a gift to the baby. The smallest fairy marched up to the cradle, waved her wand. Sweet princess, my gift should be. But before Merryweather could continue, a great gust of wind blew open the doors, and swept into the room. Lightning flashed, thunder boomed, and the room filled with darkness. Suddenly, a bright flame appeared in the middle of the great hall. Terrified scream filled the room. The flame took the shape of an evil-looking woman, dressed in a long black cape. She carried a staff, up, upon which sat a black raven. It was Maleficent. Gash. Everyone stood frozen in fear, waiting for Maleficent to speak. I really felt quite distressed at not receiving an invitation to the party. Maleficent began, looking at the king, and to show I bear no ill will, I too should bestow a gift on the child. She stuck her staff on the ground to silence the room before she spoke again. Listen well, all of you. The princess should indeed grow in grace and beauty, but before the sun set on her 16th birthday, she should prick her finger on a spindle of a spinning wheel and die. Everyone gasped in horror. Oh no, cried the queen. She raced to the cradle and held her baby tight. Magnificent laughed a cruel and heartless laugh. King Stefan could bear this evil no more. Seize that creature, he shouted. And before the guards could take her, Magnificent raised her arms and disappeared in a burst of fire and smoke. The raven circled overhead, then flew away, leaving behind a room filled with sadness. The queen held the princess tightly in her arm. King Stafford tried to console her. It was Forrest who broke the stunned silence. Don't despair, young Majesty. Merryweather still had gift to give. Magnificent evil curse. Wait. Merryweather still had gift to give. Merryweather's power was not strong enough to undo Magnificent evil curse, but she could soften it. Sheep princess, a ray of hope. There still may be in the gift I give thee, not in death, but just in sleep. The faithful prophets you I'll keep, and from the slumber you should wake when your true love kiss the spell should be broke. King Stafford was so fearful for his daughter, life to stop the evil curse. He immediately ordered that every spinning wheel be burned. That night, thousands of spinning wheels were collected and brought to the palace. A large bonfire lit. King Stefan and his queen felt assured that their daughter would now be safe. By dawn, there was not a spinning wheel left in the kingdom that could be threatened Princess Aurora. But Florence and Merryweather knew that this could not stop Maleficent. They had divined some kind of plan. Florence was the first to come up with an idea. Of course, the king and queen will object, she said, but when we explain that it is the only way, we'll disguise ourselves as present women and raid Adora as a foundling child deep in the forest. Maleficent would never expect to find her there. Then, with a wave of her wand, Florence turned the other fairies into present women to demonstrate her plan. It was not easy to convince the king and queen of the plan. 16 years would be a long time to be without their child, but in the end, it was decided that the fairies should take the princess. One evening, soon after, the three good fairies quietly carried the baby princess away into the night. They would return with the princess just before her 16th birthday, when Magnificent curse would end. With heavy hearts, the king and queen said goodbye. And so for 16 long years, the whereabouts of the princess remained a secret. Deep in a forest, in a woodcutter the good fairy carried out their well-laid plan. There they raised the princess as their own, and they called her Brantwood, Brant Rose. They never revealed to never revealed to her anything about the king, the queen, her royal heritage, or Maleficent. What is more, the three good fairies lived like morals. They kept their true identity a secret from Brett Rose and never once used their magic. They cleaned and scrubbed and did everything like common people, so Brett Rose would never suspect. 16 years passed quickly, and Brentwood Rose became everything the fairy had bestowed in their wishes. She was not only beautiful, but she was kind, and whenever she went, she carried a song in her heart. The good fairy knew that soon they would have to return Brent Rose to the castle, where she would remain her rightful identity and marry Prince Philip. Oh, it seemed like only yesterday when we brought her here, sighed Merryweather. They would be sad to see it all end. Brent Rose had filled their life with joy and laughter, thing that Magnificent could never understand. High on the Forbidden Mountain, Magnificent continued her search for Prince Aurora. For 16 years, she had sent her goons throughout the kingdom to locate the girl, but they could not find her. We searched mountains, forests, and houses, the goon leader said, in all the cradles. It was then that Magnificent realized that for 16 years they had been searching for a baby. Foo, idiots, she screamed. Then she hurled both at the goons just to show her displeased. The raven stooped down and perched himself on the arm of the throne. Oh, my pet, she began. You are my last hope. Circle far and wide. Search for a maid of 16 with her hair of sunshine, gold, and lips red as a rose. Go and do not fail me. The raven flew throughout. Right, the raven flew through the open window and out onto the sky. Magnificent knew that the raven would find her princess. At the cottage in the forest, the three good fairies were busy with their plan for Brett Rose's 16th birthday party. They wanted it all to be a surprise, so they sent Brett Rose out into the forest to pick wild berries. Was going to bake the birthday cake, and Florence was going to make a special birthday dress. Merryweather was to be a model. Merryweather insists that they use their magic wand so everything would be perfect. No magic, Florence reminded them. They had to keep their identity a secret. While the three fairies was busy at the college, Brent Rose wandered through the forest picking wild berries. Her friend the owls and the other birds, the squirrel and the rabbits, joined her. When her basket was full, Brent Rose stopped and sung a song to them. She sung of the man of her dreams. Her gentle voice carried throughout the forest. Nearby, a young prince on horseback heard the lovely voice. What is it, Samson? The prince asked his horse. Let's find out. Samson wasn't at all interested, but the prince promised him an extra basket of oats and a few carrots. That was all it took. Samson instantly broke into a gallop, carrying the prince closer to the sound of the enchanted voice. Brent Rose danced and daydreamed while she sung her love song. She did not hear the prince come up behind her. When he joined in singing, she was quite stunned. "I'm awfully sorry," he said. "I didn't mean to frighten you, but don't don't you remember? We have met before, once upon a dream." The prince and Brent Rose danced and sung together. Then they walked hand in hand through the forest. As the animal followed along behind, it was easy to see that the two were falling in love. But when the prince asked her name, Brent Rose realized that she didn't know who he was either. She had been told never to speak to strangers. Brent Rose turned to run away, but when will I see you again? The prince called after her. Brent Rose stopped and answered, "This evening at the college at the Glen." Then she ran off into the forest. Back at the college, the three fairies was in panic. Looked at the dress Florence had just made. "Well, it's not exactly the way it is in the book," she said politely. The cake was in no better shape. It had started to lean to one side. Quickly braced it with a broom. Then the icing and candle slowly slid off the top of the cake and down the broom handle. "I had enough of this nonsense," decided Meriwether. All the wrap, all wrapped up in the dress. "I'm going to get our magic wands." She rushed off to get the wand hidden in the attic. Quickly, the fairy closed the window and doors. They drew the curtain so no one could see them. Then, with a wave of the magic wand, everything was made perfect. Florence dress was beautiful, and she directed the ribbons and scissors in the finishing touch. Waved her magic wand at the ingredients for the cake: egg, flour, milk. "Just do it that way. Just do it like it says," she said to the ingredient, pointing to the recipe book. In no time at all, had a beautiful cake prepared. There was one slight problem, however. The color of the dress Meriwether liked blue. She waved her wand, and instantly the dress turned blue. But Florence liked pink. With a wave of her wand, she changed the dress back to the color pink. "Make it blue," Meriwether insisted. She turned the dress blue again. Back and forth the color went: blue, and then pink again. Sparkle flew around the room, and up the chimney. The fairy had forgotten to seal off the chimney. It was just then that the raven flew overhead and saw the colorful sparks coming from the colors. He swooped down to have a closer look. Pink and blue sparks flew from the chimney. The raven knew he had found the princess at last. He flew back to tell the evil Maleficent. At that moment, Brent Rose returned from her walk in the forest. "Surprise, surprise," the good fairy shouted. Brent Rose waltzed into the room, hardly noticing the cake or the dress. Everything was so wonderful. "Just wait till you meet him. He's coming here tonight." Brent Rose told him about the young man she had met in the forest. "She's in love," the fairy said sadly. So they decided to tell Brent Rose the truth, that she was really Prince Aurora, and that she was already betrothed to Prince Philip. "Tonight we are going to take you back to your father, King Stefan." Forrest told her. Brent Rose wept sadly, for she knew she could never see her young man again. The night the fairies prepared the princess for her return to the castle. At dusk, they set out for the long journey through the forest. Princess Aurora hid beneath a long clock as she walked through of the young men she had met that day. The fairy all thought of that day 16 years ago when they had creeped through the woods with an infant baby or infant princess in their arms. At the castle, King Herbert and King Stefan were celebrating the upcoming marriage of their two children. They were not pleased when Philip announced that he was in love with a girl he had met in the forest. When they reached the castle, the fairies secretly took the princess to a room where they left her alone for a few minutes. But no sooner had they left than a waft of light appeared in the room. As in a chance, a door followed the light through the secret panel in the fireplace and up a windy staircase to a hidden tower room. There stood the crew Maleficent next to a spinning machine. Touch the spindle. Touch it, I say, Maleficent commanded. The three fairies returned to find Aurora gone. Quickly they followed the path she had taken to the hidden tower, but they were too late. When they arrived at the tower, there stood Maleficent. "Well, here's your precious princess," she said with a nasty laugh. Maleficent stepped back and revealed that the fallen princess on the floor. Then the evil fairy disappeared in the flame and smoke. Tears rolled down the cheeks of the three fairies. Poor King Saffron and the queen sobbed. "They'll be heartbroken when they find out." "They're not going to," replied Florence. "We'll put them all to sleep until Rose awakens." The fairy made himself very small. Then, flying above and waving their magic wand, they put everyone in the castle to sleep. The guard, the royal subject, even the king and queen. Just as King Herbert would not off to sleep, Florence overheard him trying to tell King Stefan about the present guard from the forest. Prince Philip insists he was going to marry. Florence put the pieces together and realized that Aurora, young man in the forest, was really Prince Philip. Then she remembered Brent Rose telling them the man would go to the college that night. "Come on," she called to the other. "We have got to get back to the college." The three good fairies flew as fast as they could to the college where Prince Philip would be arriving. Expecting to find Brent Rose, they had no time to lose. But at the college in the glen, Prince Philip had already arrived. He adjusted his hat, then knocked on the door. A voice from inside asked him to come in. With love in his heart, the prince opened the door and went inside. Before he realized what was happening, Maleficent goons jumped him. The prince was powerless. The goons tied him up with heavy ropes and gagged him with a cloth. Maleficent stepped out of the darkness and approached the prince. "Well, this is a pleasant surprise," she said. "I set my trap for the present, and lo, I catch the prince." "Away with him," she commanded her goons. "But gently, my pet. I have plans for our royal guest." Prince Philip was led away to Maleficent dungeon. Again, the fairy was too late. They found the prince's hat on the ground. They knew at once that Maleficent had been there. She'd taken Prince Philip to the Forbidden Mountain, whispered Florence. The fairy knew it would be very dangerous to go there, but they knew they had no other choice. They had to rescue the prince. At Maleficent Castle, high above the Forbidden Mountain, Philip was chained to his dungeon wall. Maleficent smiled at him. "Oh, come now, Prince Philip. Why so?" she asked, then proceeded to tell him about Princess Aurora sleeping in King Stephen's castle tower. But see the gratefulness whim of fate, she continued. "Why, this is the same present girl who won your heart, noble prince, only yesterday." Maleficent had plans for the prince that would most certainly keep him from rescuing the sleeping princess. She climbed the stairs to the door with her raven on her arm. "Let's leave Prince Philip with these happy thoughts," she chuckled. At that moment, the three fairies flew down from a crack in the dungeon wall. "Shoot, no time to explain," they told the prince. Florence used her wand and struck the shackles off his wrists, while took care of those on his ankle. "The road to find your true love may hold still more danger, which you will have to face alone," Florence said. Then she waved her wand, and a sword and shield magically appeared in Philip's hand. "So arm yourself with this magic shield of virtue and this mighty sword of truth. These weapons will trample over evil." Armed with his sword and shield, the prince rushed out to find his princess. As the prince tried to escape Maleficent's domain, he had overcome many dangers created by the evil fairy. He dodged arrows, lightning bolts, and fallen rocks. But no matter what the angry Maleficent put in his way, the prince was determined to rescue Princess Aurora. As Philip neared the palace of King Stefan, Maleficent created a wall of thorns to stop him, but the prince hacked away at the thorny branches with the sword of truth until he got through. The prince and Samson speed toward the castle bridge. "No," cried Maleficent in a rage. Then, with a blinding explosion of fire, she created one last obstacle. There before him stood the most hideous black beast he had ever seen. It was Maleficent. She had turned herself into a fierce, fire-breathing dragon. "Now you should deal with me," the beast cried. Philip raised his shield and charged at the dragon. The dragon opened his enormous mouth and hissed great flames of fire at the prince. He fell back, but got up again and darted the flame. The dragon snapped at him with an enormous jaw. The prince turned and tried to retreat, but he found himself cornered on the edge of a cliff. The fairy watched anxiously, terrified for his life. The prince raised his shield, but the dragon's hot breath knocked it into the abyss below. The dragon was ready to finish the prince with a final blast of flame. The prince threw his sword of truth with his might. It flew straight into the dragon's heart. The beast reared back, then plunged over the edge of the cliff into the darkness below. Now the path to King Stephen's castle was clear. Philip mounted Samson and rode through the castle gate, past the sleeping guards and guests and servants. He followed the three fairies up to the winding staircase to the tower chamber where Aurora lay asleep. He approached the bed and gently kissed the sleeping princess. Aurora's eyes opened and smiled. Instantly, everyone in the castle began to awaken too. Now you were saying, Herbert? Yelled a yawned King Stefan. Ah, yes, King Herbert continued. My son Philip says he's going to marry, but before King Herbert could continue, could finish his, like, before King Herbert could finish explaining that his son was going to marry a peasant girl, the trumpet sounded. All eyes turned to the grand staircase, where Princess Aurora and Prince Philip made their entrance arm in arm. It's Aurora, she's here, cried King Stefan. It was a joyful reunion, as the king and queen welcomed their daughter after 16 long years. With open arms, Aurora ran to her parents. All fear was now gone. Maleficent was dead. King Herbert tried to ask Philip about the present girl he wanted to marry. What does this mean, boy? He asked. But before he could find out, Aurora stepped up to the king and gave him a big hug, a big kiss. He brushed it with pressures. Then he announced that the prince and the princess wished to marry. The two kings were overjoyed. The kingdom would be united at last. Then Philip and Aurora danced together as the kings and queens and all their subjects looked on. It was indeed a joyful celebration. The three good fairies watched the festivity from a balcony above. I just love happy ending, said with a sigh. They all agreed that this was certainly the happiest of ending. So that was Sleeping Beauty from 1986. If you like, subscribe, share, and comment. Have a groovy day. Well, another video coming out real soon.